From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the news at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waudo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Supreme Court revokes bail granted to Lagos socialite Fred Ajudua, orders that he should be returned to prison custody. Convener of the Big Tent, Professor Pat Utomi, unveils the agenda of the proposed shadow government, says project to analyze government policies and how they affect Nigerian citizens. President Bola Tinubu meets politicians from the northwestern part of Nigeria, as some senators declare their intentions to join the ruling All Progressives Congress. A new Pope, Leo XIV, celebrates first Mass in Vatican, asks action against lack of faith. In On Business, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria unveils new cargo terminal in Lagos, plans expansion to boost exports nationwide.
On Sports News tonight, Athletics Federation of Nigeria withdraws its athletes from the 2025 World Relays scheduled to take place in Guangzhou, China, citing delays in the issuance of visas.
And from the nation's capital, federal government targets an estimated 500,000 hectares of irrigated land for agriculture and sustainable energy.
We begin the news at 10 tonight with a major judicial reversal declared by the Supreme Court. The Apex Court has allowed an appeal made by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, against a decision of the Court of Appeal, Lagos Division, which granted bail to a socialite, Fred Ajudua. Mr. Ajudua is standing trial for allegedly obtaining the sum of $1,043,000 from a Palestinian, Zaad Abu Zalaf, in fraudulent circumstances. He challenged his denial of bail at the Lagos Court of Appeal, and the appellate court granted him bail on September the 10th, 2018. Dissatisfied with this judgment, the EFCC approached the Apex Court challenging the judgment of the appellate court. Delivering judgment on the appeals today, the Supreme Court allowed the EFCC's appeals, revoking Ajudua's bail and ordering Mr. Fred Ajudua to be remanded in the correctional center. The court further directed that the Chief Judge of Lagos State should reassign the case to Justice Dada to continue the trial. In the meantime, Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has adjourned the trial of former Governor of Kogi State, Yahya Bello, to June the 26th, 2025. The adjournment follows the EFCC's request to cross-examine its own third witness, a move opposed by the defense. The witness, Nicholas Ojemo, an auditor of the American International School, Abuja, testified about fees paid by Mr. Bello's family, but said he did not speak negatively about the former governor in any case, including a related matter involving Ali Bello. After the defense's cross-examination, EFCC counsel Kemi Pinheiro sought to also cross-examine the witness on a document marked Exhibit 19, insisting it was not a re-examination. However, the defense counsel Joseph Daudu challenged the legality of that request. Justice Nwite ruled to hear arguments on the issue and continue the trial at the next sitting. And as political parties intensify preparations for the upcoming elections, opposing groups are now refining their strategies, challenging the ruling All Progressives Congress. Among that bold move being championed is the creation of a shadow government, an initiative led by Professor Pat Utomi. Speaking on our political program, Politics Today, Professor Utomi outlined the shadow government and its expected functions. He explains that the team will convene regularly to assess and interpret citizens' feedback on government policies, while also offering alternative viewpoints on national issues. According to him, the goal is to keep the government accountable and ensure that citizens' voices are at the center of policy discourse.
The way we will operate as a shadow team is to meet at an interval like 2 weeks. Each shadow team member who has watch on some aspect of governing will present the state of the nation in that area, the latest policies from government, how it is working, what has not gone right, what better options there are, and we will debate it, discuss it, and put out a public statement about that situation. That is what this is about. Any rational, normal person who thinks this is undemocratic should please come forward and tell me how that can be. The Nigerian Constitution, as terrible as we have called it, guarantees this conduct. Because that is not happening in our system, we need to make it happen as citizens that are committed. Let's take the issue of pain. The people are feeling pain. In our country, people are really dying, suffering. There's hunger in the land. The way government carries on, you will not believe that is the case. Why spend the kind of money we've spent buying this beast, whatever they call that monster that is now our new presidential car? Not talk of new jets. You can't be doing things like that and ask people to sacrifice. No, you lead by example. But it seems like the Nigerian political class thinks that, it should be given everything to live luxuriantly at the expense of a dying people. That is not acceptable to me as a citizen. And I think that we must reverse those kinds of ways of thinking about public life.
While the proposed shadow government sharpens its strategies for upcoming elections, the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC, is making bold moves of its own, with fresh defections rolling in. 3 senators from Kebbi State, Adamu Aliero for Kebbi Central, Kebbi, and Gabra Maidoki from Kebbi South, have made their own intentions very clear, meeting President Bola Tinubu to announce their defection from the People's Democratic Party to the APC. The trio escorted the president's office by APC National Chairman Abdullahi Ganduje, were joined by Governors Nasiru Idris and Kebbi, State Governor and Ahmed Aliyu of Sokoto, along with top APC figures from the states and Zamfara State also. Well, the APC chair has addressed concerns about the steering of Nigeria towards a one-party state.
The 3 senators, PDP senators from Kebbi State, the agreement and the resolution, they are decamping to our great party, the APC. This is a good development, and it is in consonance with what is happening in Nigeria today. Almost every week in the Senate, House of Representatives, you see members of other political parties decamping into our party. So we came here so that Mr. President will bless this resolution. If one party state is a wish and blessing to Nigeria, one party state is not by force. One party state is by negotiation. It's by other political parties seeing the effect of the positive governance of our party. If they decide to come into our party willingly, I think there's nothing like that. There's nothing with that. Today, democratic China is one of the most strong countries in the world, and it's a one-party system. We are not saying that we are working for one-party system, but if that is the wish of Nigerians, we cannot quarrel with that. You know, they say too many cooks spoil the soup. Too many political parties spoil governance.
The tense political atmosphere in Rivers State may be taking a new dimension as some women unite for Sim Group. They are now calling for peace and reconciliation among all warring parties in the state. The women canvassed their position earlier today in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, when they gathered at the center to pray for peace in the state.
The Rivers Unite for Same Pressure Group congregate again at the Ecumenical Center in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital. They are unwavering in their call for the return of the governor, as well as denouncing the state of emergency in the state. Today's gathering is quite different, as they are not only going spiritual, but have also toned down on their message, as they are calling for peace and reconciliation between the warring parties. Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the event, some of them lament how much toll the crisis has taken on them.
We are gathered here to pray for peace, like we've always prayed. That we are appealing to His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, Tinubu, to tamper justice with peace. We are asking him to call back our governor. We are crying, praying, calling on the elders of the state, elder statesmen, our president, everyone that is involved in this unlawful decision. We are praying that there will be peaceful resolution to this matter.
Weighing in, others say the removal of Governor Fubara has rendered the state headless, urging President Tinubu to reconsider his decision and return their governor.
In a family, when you remove a father, that family is headless. And we can see that our father, the father of River State, had been removed, dislocated. And you see that the family is headless. So we are calling for reconciliation prayers.
Our market now, if you enter market, everywhere cold. You don't see buyers. You get market, you know, fit sell. But when our governor been there, now the eye where we get with that.
After their prayer session, a leader of the group and popular Niger Delta activist, Ann Q. Briggs, reads out their communique in which she questions what will happen on May 29th, which is supposed to mark the second-year anniversary of the swearing-in of Governor Fubara, as well as President Tinubu into office.
Our demand for the lifting of the state of emergency becomes even more germane as May 29th draws near, and we are asking, what will be the fate of Rivers State? Will our state join other states in marking the day to also take stock as others? Much as we are waiting patiently for Mr. President, the father of the nation, to act by terminating this emergency rule, we have continued to observe and bear the burden of the humongous infractions on our collective patrimony by the sole administrator.
These women believe the president should hear their voices and give consideration to their demands in the overall interest of the state and pave way for the continuation of developmental projects beneficial to the people. Charles Sokurum, Channels Television News.
To security matters now, the Nigeria Police Force says that it has recorded another major breakthrough in the fight against transnational crime, rescuing 25 Ivorian nationals, including one Laji European, who was the subject of a formal request from the National Central Bureau in Abuja from a human trafficking syndicate operating in Ogun State. A statement issued by the Force Public Relations Officer, Muiwa Dejobi, says the operation followed a distress report from Aviation on April the 23rd, alleging the Laji was lured to Nigeria with false promises to travel to Belgium, then held for ransom. Mr. Adejobi says that acting on international request, officers from Interpol Nigeria launched coordinated raids in Ogun State, first rescuing 2 victims, then arresting 2 suspects from a Osei hotel in Adodo, Ota. And that's followed with an operation led to the rescue of 23 more victims and the rearrest of 6 additional suspects. All victims have now been handed over to the immigration authorities, while 8 suspects remain in custody and still under investigation. In part 2, after the break, Imo Airport commences international flight as 315 Muslim pilgrims from Abia, Bayelsa, and Imo states jet out to Mecca for holy pilgrimage. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Supreme Court revokes bail granted to Lagos socialite Fred Ajudua, orders that he should be returned to prison custody. Convener of the Big Ten's Professor Patatomi unveils the agenda for the proposed shadow government, says project is to analyze government policies and how they affect Nigerian citizens. President Bola Tinubu meets politicians from the Northwest as some senators declare their intention to join the ruling All Progressives Congress. And new Pope Leo XIV celebrates First Mass in Vatican, urges action against lack of faith. History was made in Imo State as the Sam Mbakwe International Cargo Airport in Owerri, the state capital, recorded its first ever international flight over 4 decades after it was established. The landmark flight conveying 315 Muslim pilgrims from Imo, Abia, and Bayelsa states to the Holy Land of Mecca in Saudi Arabia also marks the official flag-off of Nigeria's 2025 Hajj operations. Our Imo State correspondent, Seitope Kuteyi, reports.
It's a historic and joyful moment at the Sam Mbakwe International Cargo Airport in Owerri, as residents, Muslims, and top officials of government gather to witness the first international Hajj flight from Imo State. Vice President Kashim Shettima leads a high-profile federal delegation alongside the Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Alhaji Saad Abubakar, to flag off the 2025 Hajj operations.
May I proceed?
The chairman CEO of National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Professor Abdullahi Usman, explains that over 64,000 Nigerian pilgrims are expected to participate in this year's pilgrimage.
We are pleased to announce that the total number of pilgrims that registered for this year's Hajj from both state and tour operators are totally 64,188.
For the Sultan of Sokoto, Saad Abubakar, the event is divine for the Southeast, commending the Imo State government for supporting the realization of the journey.
Governor, we thank you very much. As President of Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, we are very happy with the way you handle issues in the state. We are happy with the way you relate with everybody. I think it's the reason why all of us are here in this beautiful arena, well set up podium and everything for this short flag-off ceremony.
In his address, Governor Hope Uzodinma explains the strategic efforts taken by his administration to upgrade the airport to international standards.
We started by first upgrading the facilities, ranging from the runway, extension of the runway, installation of night landing facilities, procurement of specialized equipment, navigational aids, and also strengthened the aviation security in and around the airport.
The Vice President Kashim Shettima urges the pilgrims to represent Nigeria with dignity, calling on them to pray for the country and its leaders, reaffirming government's gesture to support all Nigerians.
Know that you are more than spiritual travelers. You are ambassadors of Nigeria. You carry with you not only your faith, but also the pride and dignity of this nation. Your conduct, your devotion, and your unity must reflect the values we hold dear. This responsibility is not light. It is noble.
With speeches over, the 315 pilgrims board their flight bound for Mecca, with Vice President Kashim Shettima leading dignitaries to bid them farewell. As this flight departs the Sam Mbakwe International Cargo Airport here in Owerri, the Imo State capital, carrying Muslim pilgrims to the Holy Land of Mecca, it marks the beginning of a new chapter in Imo State's aviation history, one that opens doors of global opportunities and signals a step towards repositioning the Imo economy on the international map. Seitope Kuteyi, Channels Television News.
President Bola Tinubu has commissioned legacy projects undertaken by Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State during the one-day official visit to the state. Commissioning the project, the president says that visionary leadership of Governor Soludo describes infrastructure as the backbone of development, announcing that service to the people is all about democracy and prosperity, irrespective of who undertakes it, asking the encouragement of good governance.
President Bola Tinubu arrives at the Chinua Achebe International Airport, Umueri. Is in Anambra State to commission Governor Soludo's projects. The presidential convoy visit Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, to commission the Emeka Anyoko Institute. Then proceeds to Solution Fund City, a major leisure and entertainment complex. Dignitaries, including Southeast governors, their counterparts from Delta, Ogun, Gombe, and Borno states, top ministers, and the Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, the National Security Advisor, Mr. Nuhu Ribadu, Minister of Works, Mr. Dave Umahi, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Mrs. Bianca Ojukwu, joined Governor Soludo to receive President Bola Tinubu. The group commissioned the Anambra State Government House mini-city, followed by a tour of a landmark project breaking a 34-year jinx. Soludo received goodwill messages during a grand reception. Chief Emeka Anyoko prayed for the president's strength and urged Soludo to seek a second term to complete his work.
I must thank you, Mr. President, for honoring the Anambra, the people of Anambra, with your visit and commissioning some of the projects, the legacy projects, achieved by our clearly performing governor, Professor Soludo, who we hope will come back to complete his unfinished projects.
The highlight comes as Anambra's Traditional Rulers Council, led by Igwe Chidubem Iweka, conferred the title Dike Simba on President Bola Tinubu. Governor Soludo describes the commissioned project as symbols of Anambra's bold vision, praises President Tinubu's economic efforts, and reaffirms his support for the administration, calling for unity among progressives.
With a vision of Anambra's African Dubai, Taiwan, Silicon Valley, ADTS, as the next axis of sustainable prosperity, with a 50-year development master plan, which I chaired the drafting, we are in a haste to lay solid foundations. In simple terms, Mr. President, we are determined to change the trajectory of Anambra from being a departure lounge to a destination of choice.
His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The president praises Anambra's diversity as a path to prosperity, commends Governor Soludo's leadership, and assures him of solutions for the state's erosion and road challenges.
Already, we have seen renewed investors' confidence in Nigeria. Small businesses are coming back, especially in tech, manufacturing sector, where Anambra is already excelling. Our diversity must lead to prosperity. We must work together to be a Nigerian.
As the president concludes his visit, the people of Anambra hope for lasting impacts in the coming days.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria unveils new cargo terminal in Lagos, plans expansion to boost exports nationwide. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Let's head over to Abuja studios now for more on the news at 10. Terry Kumi is standing by. Hello, Terry.
Well, hi, Anne. The federal government is targeting an estimated 500,000 hectares of irrigated land for agriculture, alongside 30 gigawatts of sustainable energy. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, stated this during the inaugural meeting of the Project Steering Committee on the Sustainable Power and Irrigation for Nigeria project in Abuja. The project aims to optimize the use of existing water storage for irrigation and hydropower generation.
This is the inaugural meeting of the Steering Committee on the Sustainable Power and Irrigation for Nigeria project, which aims to deliver infrastructure for irrigation and hydropower components to the revitalization of rural economy. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, is joined by the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Mr. Abubakar Kyari, among other senior government officials for the ceremony. This follows the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, the Ministry of Power, and the World Bank for the implementation of the project.
The SPIN project embodies a significant convergence of national priorities of agriculture, water, and energy security into a unified and integrated platform for development. With the valued support of the World Bank and active participation of state governments, this project aims to unlock Nigeria's substantial irrigation potentials.
Hydropower facilities typically have lower operational and maintenance costs compared to other power generation technologies. Once established, it can run for a lifespan of a minimum of 50 years. As the co-chair of the Project Steering Committee and key implementing partner, I reaffirm the Federal Ministry of Power commitment to the successful implementation of the SPIN project.
The project is designed to improve resilience to floods, droughts, and climate change, as the government hopes that it will improve food availability in the country.
We have the SPIN, which is will really open up the tremendous opportunities and potentials of the Nigerian agricultural landscape. Power is also another issue that is deficient in the country. However, I think when we all come together and join our hands, we should be able to be self-sufficient in both power and food.
As we are aware, Nigeria is committed to improving its food, water, and energy security. And with the use of the Irrigate Nigeria project, we can achieve the vision of having an estimated 500,000 hectares irrigated agriculture, 30 gigawatts of sustainable energy, and improved resilience to floods, droughts, and climate change.
The committee, which has representatives from the relevant ministries, is expected to come up with a strategy for the operationalization of the project.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says it is committed to implementing impactful programs that align with the country's national priorities. The Managing Director of NNPC Foundation, Mrs. Emanuela Arukwe, stated this at the official flag-off of the training of 6,000 vulnerable farmers in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, for the South-South geopolitical zone. Mrs. Arukwe said the program is a testament to the company's unwavering commitment to food security, economic empowerment, and national development.
The NNPC Foundation is the social responsibility arm of the NNPC Limited. It's dedicated to implementing impactful programs that align with national priorities. This initiative is part of the company's broader efforts in seeking support for the federal government's agricultural transformation agenda to enhance food security, increase productivity, and improve the livelihood of smallholder farmers across Nigeria. The managing director of NNPC Foundation, Dr. Mrs. Emmanuela Arukwe, explains how this will train 6,000 vulnerable farmers across the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria in modern climate-resilient farming techniques, soil and water management, organic fertilization, and post-harvest loss reduction strategies. Our views were reiterated by Director of Program Development and Coordinator, Dr. Bala David.
As we embark on this journey, I encourage you all to make the most of this opportunity. Let us work together to transform agriculture in Nigeria for the benefit of our communities and the nation at large.
The chairman of All Farmers Association of Nigeria, AFAN, Prince Basi Inwan, thanks NNPC.
You are coming to add value to what we have been doing before. As farmers in these states, you have been cultivating, doing animal husbandry, into fisheries, agroforestry, and others.
Declaring the event open, the Akwa Ibom State Commissioner for Agriculture, Dr. Mrs. Ofyongofo, who is represented on the occasion by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Agriculture, Dr. Mrs. Atimokoko, commends NNPC for the initiative, which he says is in line with the Arise agenda of the state government and the renewed hope agenda of the Tinubu administration.
My commissioner has asked me to tell you that you have done well for coming out to listen. Anytime you hear anything about farming, when you come out in your great numbers, you are supporting agriculture.
Some participants bear their minds on the program.
I'm praying that this program should continue because farmers has benefited mostly in this program in Akwa Ibom State here. So I thank NNPC Limited that God will give them grace to forward this program next time in Akwa Ibom.
The program has educated me, and it has given me enough information for me to use in improving my farming skills.
The program is divided into 2 phases, with one phase comprising Southeast, South-South, and Southwest, while phase 2 covers North Central, Northwest, and Northeast geopolitical zones.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. Back to Anne now in Lagos for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Terry. To company news, VFD Group PLC, an exclusive investment firm determined to build Africa's most diverse business ecosystem, held its 9th annual general meeting right here in Lagos. But the meeting, which also held virtually, brought together shareholders and board of directors to reflect on the group's successful 2024 performance following a very tough financial year 2023 and lay the foundation for its ambitious continental growth plan.
For the 9th time, VFD Group PLC is holding its annual general meeting to have an introspection on the company's 2024 performance and projection for the year 2025 and beyond. The chairman, Mr. Olatunde Busari SAN, is present, including other top management staff. To kickstart the meeting, the company secretary reads the notice.
To consider and if thought fit, pass the following resolution as an ordinary resolution. That the remuneration of all the non-executive directors until further notice be and is hereby fixed at 127,880,000 naira only for the year ending December 31st, 2025.
The chairman declares dividends available to shareholders.
For the financial year ended December 31, 2024, the directors are recommending a dividend of 2 naira 50 kobo. For every ordinary share of 50 kobo, each to all shareholders whose names are in the company's register of members as at Tuesday, April 22, 2025.
Following the group's 2024 financial recovery, it now sets its sights beyond Nigeria to ensure that the current profit momentum is sustainable beyond 2025.
Our strategy going forward is more about deepening our verticals in the country and replication of those businesses that we have in Nigeria in other key African locations.
If you look at the profit after tax or profit before tax of the company, you will see that we bounce back from a loss before tax of over 700 million in 2023 to a profit before tax of over 11 billion in 2024. So that is the most striking.
And the chairman speaks further on the company's profit rebound.
We ended 2024 with a profit of about 11 billion naira. We believe that we make our shares more reachable, more affordable to new shareholders. And I will urge the investing public that they should invest in VFD Group, VFD PLC.
The year 2024 financial year had a remarkable revenue and profit growth across VFD Group PLC's business concerns, as shareholders approved a dividend payment of 2 naira 50 kobo per share, amounting to a total payout of 3.17 billion naira, with a bonus share issuance of 5 new shares for everyone held, which underscores the group's commitment to long-term shareholder value and investor confidence. We have more stories for you from the world of business. Willie Bong is standing by. Thank you, Anne. Now, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, has inaugurated a new domestic cargo terminal at the Lagos Airport to boost exports and modernize aviation logistics. The project, led by the Aviation Ministry and FAN's Cargo Directorate, aims to support Nigeria's growing trade needs. The terminal will ease cargo handling, support rising e-commerce and agricultural exports, and reduce logistic delays. The terminal will also make Lagos a major freight hub. FAN plans to roll out similar terminals nationwide. Now, the president of the country, President Bola Tinubu, has welcomed fresh investment interest from Qatar, especially in agriculture and food security. He gave the assurance during a meeting with a special envoy from the Emir of Qatar, who revealed plans for a high-level business delegation to visit Nigeria soon. The president assured Nigeria is ready for deeper ties and directed key ministries to fast-track agreements from his 2024 Qatar visit. Qatar's envoy says the Emir sees Nigeria as a key partner in Africa, with companies eyeing investment in farming, petrochemicals, and peace building. Now we head to the domestic stock market, which snapped a 4-day winning streak as it recorded the first negative close for the week. John Mekwa tells us more. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stock market report. Sentiments have flipped at the NGX today. So even though we had a slight gain at intraday, by close of trade, 313 billion naira had been shaved off. Investors came in aggressively to take some profit that's been accumulating in most parts of the week. So the all-share index dropped from 109,000. It's now at 108,733.40. That's about 0.5% down, the all-share index, and the market cap is at 68 trillion naira, 68.339 trillion naira. Well, all sectors are in the red today. All of them. Everyone has a taste of that profit taking. But the top losers for today, Transpower, HM Coal, as well as Maya. They topped the losers for today, but we still have some gainers, yes. So for the top gainers, we have Sterling NG, ABC Transport, and Chelaram. Chelaram has been in the news for some days now. So they got some cherry picking on them at the close of trade today. But for this weekend, it's unfortunate there is the bear that will leave on the floor of the exchange. Thank you, Nii. We do need that red to keep the balance in the market. But let's check out how other global markets are doing today.
And that's business news. It's back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Will. Outside our shores, Pope Leo XIV has asked Catholics to go beyond the superficial faith and called on priesthood to show humility in First Mass as pontiff. Meanwhile, the Holy See Press Office has announced that inaugural Mass for Pope Leo XIV will be held at St. Peter's Square on Sunday, May the 18th. Here's Simon Puser with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The new Pope, Leo XVI, has called for the Catholic Church to desperately counter a lack of faith in his first Mass at the Vatican. Speaking the day after he was elected as the 267th Pope and the first US leader of the Church, he warned that people were turning away from the faith and instead to technology, money, success, power or pleasure. The ascension of Robert Francis Prevost has been celebrated by the world's 1.4 billion Catholics, with joyous outbursts in his US homeland and in Peru, where he served for 20 years. We've also heard reaction from the brother of the newly elected Pope in Chicago.
To be honest, there hasn't been a chance to think about it because it's been constant phone calls, emails, messages, interviews. So I don't think it's really sunk in. It's kind of surreal. It's great pride. This is an awesome thing in the sense that the first, not only Pope, but first American Pope from Chicago, and a relative.
Vladimir Putin has led Russia's Victory Day commemorations with a parade in Red Square and heightened security after days of Ukrainian strikes targeting the capital. China's Xi Jinping joined Mr. Putin as he told thousands of soldiers and more than 20 international leaders that Russia remembered the lessons of World War II. Mr. Putin used his speech to tie the war to today's full-scale invasion of Ukraine and said all of Russia was behind what he called the special military operation, now well into its 4th year. Meanwhile, Ukraine says it has uncovered a spy network being run by the Hungarian state to obtain intelligence about its defences near their shared border. Ukraine's security service said it had detained 2 alleged Hungarian spies who it accused of gathering intelligence. Hungary's foreign minister said the allegations should be treated carefully as propaganda until such a time as we receive any details or official information. The US has confirmed that a new system for providing humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza through private companies is being prepared as Israel's blockade continues for a 3rd month. The US ambassador to Israel said distribution centers protected by private security contractors would provide food and other supplies to up to 1 million people as part of an effort to prevent Hamas from stealing aid. The confirmation comes as more details emerge about the controversial plan, which UN agencies have reiterated they will not cooperate with because it appears to weaponize aid.
The BCCI, after huddles and meetings, have decided that the remainder of the IPL games stand cancelled. The tournament cannot continue.
The Indian Premier League, the world's richest cricket tournament, has been paused for a week amid escalating tensions with Pakistan. Officials took the decision after a match was abandoned as military exchanges between the two countries continued for a 3rd day. Both sides accuse each other of cross-border shelling and missile and drone attacks since India launched its military operation. Pakistan says 36 people have been killed by Indian airstrikes and firing. India says at least 16 people have been killed by Pakistani shelling on its side of the de facto border. The Microsoft founder Bill Gates says he intends to give away 99% of his fortune over the next 20 years. Mr. Gates said he would accelerate his giving via his foundation, with plans to end its operation in 2045. Mr. Gates said his eponymous foundation has already given $100 billion towards health and development projects, and that he expects it will spend another $200 billion, depending on markets and inflation, over the next 2 decades. And the first samples of moon rock brought back to Earth in nearly 50 years have arrived in the UK on loan from China. The tiny grains of dust are now locked inside a safe in a high-security facility in the UK. Professor Mahesh Anand is the only scientist in the UK to have been loaned this extremely rare material, which he describes as more precious than gold dust.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Nigeria has withdrawn from the 2025 World Relays scheduled to take place in Guangzhou, China, citing delays in the issuance of visas to its athletes. In a statement, the Athletics Federation of Nigeria accused the Chinese authorities of deliberately delaying the visa process through what it described as excessive requirement, reaffirming its commitment to ensuring Nigerian athletes' participation in global competitions. The AFN urged World Athletics to reconsider its host selection criteria by favoring countries with more athlete-friendly visa processes. The AFN is demanding appropriate compensation for financial losses incurred owing to the team's aborted trip to Guangzhou. And reports from Germany indicate that Xabi Alonso has informed Bundesliga side Bayern Leverkusen he will leave at the end of the season. With 2 games remaining, Leverkusen are guaranteed to finish second, but the final home match of the season could be a farewell for coach Alonso. Alonso, the rookie coach who banished the Neverkusen nickname by taking Leverkusen to the Bundesliga title last season, could be headed for Real Madrid, where he won the Champions League as a player. It is expected that Real Madrid will officially announce Carlos Ancelotti's departure before the end of the current La Liga season, before making the decision about Alonso public. And Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola says star striker Erling Haaland is ready to make his return from injury this weekend against relegated Southampton at St. Mary's Stadium. Haaland had been sidelined since March after sustaining an ankle injury in his side's FA Cup tie against Bournemouth, but returns in time to contest the final of that competition later this month. Manchester City are third in the table as clubs battle to earn one of the top 5 positions, which this season offer Champions League football. However, Guardiola is not taking anything for granted against Southampton, who have collected just 11 points in a dismal campaign. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta has urged players to use the frustration of having to give champions Liverpool a guard of honor on Sunday as fuel to win the Premier League title next season, after admitting they have gone backwards this season. Arsenal are destined to finish the season without a major trophy after failing to keep pace with Liverpool and crashing out of the Champions League semi-finals on Wednesday. Still licking their wounds from the disappointment in Paris, the Gunners head to Anfield for the uncomfortable task of watching Liverpool's ongoing title celebration. The Spaniards conceded Arsenal have been unable to match his expectations. That's sports. It's back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. The Supreme Court today revoked the bail granted to the Lagos socialite Fred Ajudua, ordered that he should be returned to prison custody. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Have a wonderful weekend. Good night.